Hello everyone, welcome back to another Talking Point. I'm Mayor Mike, and joining me today are two very special guests. We have Mike James and Steve Marino, and we're going to talk about this little golf thing you guys got coming up this summer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So, Steve, tell me a little bit about, first of all, what you do, what your role is here in planning for this massive event, and then a little bit about the event.
Sure. Thank you. Once again, thanks for having us, Mr. Mayor. This is going to be a big deal for Central Wisconsin, Stevens Point. It's going to be a wonderful event. So I'm the championship director for the 2023 US Senior Open, which will be held at SentryWorld Golf Course here in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. It's going to be the 156 of the top 50 and over golfers in the world coming here right to Stevens Point. So it is the pinnacle of major championship senior golf.
And your role in this is what? Making it all come together, right?
Yes. You know, we have a great team of 5 other folks on board here that work full time behind the scenes here in Stevens Point at our championship office. So we make everything come together. We do the sales, the operations, the volunteers, hospitality, ticketing, you name it.
Wow. And Mike, of course, we go back quite a ways with SentryWorld. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I run SentryWorld. I'm the general manager of SentryWorld, so on a day-to-day basis, that's my real job. However, now we have this US Senior Open coming to town, and so I am the kind of liaison between Sentry and SentryWorld to the Pro Links team, to Steve and his team, to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed in preparation for this championship.
Nice. We're expecting 70,000 people over the course of this event. These people are going to be visiting us. They're going to be staying in our hotels and bed and breakfasts and Airbnbs and spending money in our stores and restaurants. What does it take to put on an event of this size? I know we've been working on this for, well, over a year already, and we're still a few months out, but what goes into it from your end?
So, you know, it is a long planning process. It's a gradual process. This has been a 3-year, more 3-year for us, and even longer for the folks over at SentryWorld. But it's been a great, gratifying process. You mentioned the impact piece of it. 70,000 people here throughout the week, so roughly around a $20 million economic impact to the area. We build a mini city on site. It's a blank canvas. People come in. We have about 250 to 300 third-party vendors that will be there from roughly the first week of May all the way up through the last week of July, early beginning of August for the setup, and then tear down championship week. And it's no small task. It takes a lot of people to coordinate everything on the back end, but these folks do it for a living, and they know what to expect.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, you do this for a living. You said you had, what, about a half a dozen events that you plan every year, so you've kind of got the logistics of this down. But Mike, at SentryWorld, I mean, we had the Junior Girls Golf Championship here. That was a massive event, 2 days after a storm.
Yeah.
But, you know, what goes into this from the SentryWorld side? You know, what are your thought processes as we lead up to try and land a tournament of this size?
Go back to 2019 when we hosted the US Girls Junior Championship. There was a 2-year process of planning and preparation for that event, and that event is on a fairly low-level championship on the scale of the USGA championships. They host 15 a year, with the pinnacle being the US Open. Yeah, so we got this opportunity with the USGA to host the Girls Junior, and by all accounts, we knocked the ball off the cover off the ball. I mean, it was a fantastic event, and the credit to the community, really, from a volunteer standpoint, from a just being an overall readiness standpoint. And when we finished that championship, immediately, almost immediately, the USGA said, "What can we do next?" And ordinarily, and Steve can attest to this, ordinarily, you kind of graduate up the ladder to hosting a major championship. Mm-hmm. It's very rare. And sometimes you don't graduate. That's what you get, and you know, you're kind of one and done. But fortunately, we were able to impress the USGA to the point where we leapfrogged all these kind of mid-level championships to host a major. Steve talked about, I mean, this is the pinnacle. This is the best championship, golf championship in the world for golfers ages 50 and over. It's incredible that we're able to do this. And you know, the planning, you can imagine. And the girls' junior was a smaller scale event that we handled internally, meaning my team and I, we didn't hire a Pro Links to manage that tournament. We did it ourselves and worked directly with the USGA. But in this case, this is such a different animal. It's a huge, huge event, and we just aren't capable. This is a level that we needed to bring in someone like Pro Links, who has the skills to help us through this.
Sure, and it's certainly a testament to not only Sentry and SentryWorld, but our community in general.
Yes.
Right, I remember that junior girls, and we had a massive storm rip through the area just a couple of days before the tournaments. Trees are down on the golf course. It was it looked like a storm went through.
Yeah.
And everybody jumped on board. They were bringing over their chainsaws and equipment, and we had that cleared up. And for those that attended, you could walk that course and you wouldn't know there was a storm there.
That's right.
Yeah, it looked gorgeous. But that's a testament to our community too. And I know that the community is going to step up again. I've been meeting with a lot of groups with 70,000 people. We as a city have made some changes, making it easier for you to rent a room in your house or your entire house if you wanted to go off for a week and take a vacation. The short-term rental process has been streamlined, and that's all available at stevenspoint.com. If you live outside the city of Stevens Point, I know Sarah Brish has been working with the surrounding municipalities and the county to basically make sure that you get a health department inspection and the stamp of approval, and you are good to go, so we can house these people that are coming to visit us. And I mean, they're going up as far as Wausau. I've been in touch with Mayor Rosenberg up there and Mayor Blazer down in Wisconsin Rapids. This isn't a Stevens Point event. This is a Central Wisconsin event. 70,000 people. To put that into perspective, Stevens Point, as you know, is just under 26,000.
Right.
So we're tripling the population of the area for the 10 days or whatever that the tournament is going on. So, I've been asking businesses to stay open a little bit later or have put extra staff on, because once the tournament is over at 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever it happens to be, these people are going to be out in our community looking to do some shopping and some sightseeing. So we want to make sure that they have the best experience that they possibly can. To give us an idea of some of the people that we may be able to spot, if you're a star spotter, who can we expect to see maybe? I know it's not set yet, but what kind of names might we be expected to see in the area?
Yeah, so I think the two, most notable ones here within Wisconsin that you can most likely expect to see there, Jerry Kelly and Steve Stricker.
Okay.
They'll be on hand. We have our defending champion, Padraig Harrington, who won last year at Saucon Valley Country Club. And we were, selfishly enough, rooting for Stricker to pull it out, and he made a big charge on Sunday to just unfortunately miss Padraig by a shot. But those are a couple of guys: Darren Clark, Bernard Langer, Freddie Couples. So a lot of big name golfers for ages 50 and over who still really play the guts off the ball. So no slouch out there, that's for sure. But one of the things that is cool is it is an open, so you'll have a couple of amateurs in the field that end up making it and qualifying as well.
We've got the Inn at SentryWorld. That's not going to cover even a small portion of it. What sorts of plans has SentryWorld been making to make sure that their guests are accommodated? And that's not just the Inn guests, but throughout PJs. And tell me a little bit about what's going to be going on during the tournament.
Yeah, so we along with Pro Links have been working on this for a while and thinking about those scenarios, making sure that the hotels are well aware of the championship coming to town and the needs. We had a little kind of a tour of all of them throughout the 4-county area and meeting with them and talking about the importance of it, not just for the championship week, but we're bringing the 70,000 people in, and gosh, we hope that they come back. That's the bigger story, I think, in some ways, of just 126 countries will be televised this championship. And all around the country, if not all around, 126 countries, and in the U.S. as well. So people are not only going to be coming here, but they're going to be able to see it on TV even if they can't. So I mean, we have this opportunity to shed a spotlight on central Wisconsin. So we want to make sure our hotels are prepared for this opportunity, so adding staff, making sure that their facility looks as good as it possibly can. We've had those conversations with the local hoteliers, and they've been on board. Very great to work with, making sure that the players are placed. Not everybody can stay at the inn, as you can imagine. We have 64 rooms. But the local hotels will have some of the players, or the USGA will be staying there. The caddies, the NBC network team will be staying in the area, and obviously going to dinner and going grocery shopping and all the things that we do, and so that it'll be widespread, the benefit of this championship, certainly for the week. But then the real bow at the end, is the tourism that comes after the championship for years to come.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's part of my job and Sarah Brish's job, right? Sarah once said that the first date is visiting someplace for whatever reason it happens to be. That's your first date, and you want to make a good impression. So of course, I'm very much in favor of making sure that all of the businesses, all of the people know that this is going on, so we can literally put our best foot forward and make sure that everyone who visits us, especially during that time, has a fabulous experience. And I know the community is up to it. But switching gears just a little bit, maybe I'm not an avid golfer. Heck, maybe I don't golf at all. But I know there's stuff for this tournament that will entice or make it worth your while to pay a visit. Tell me some of those things that might be going on that aren't necessarily golf related.
Sure. I'm glad you brought that up. So, you don't have to be a golfer to want to come out to one of these events. We'll have some, what we like to say, activations and extracurricular activities on site. We'll have an Experience Wisconsin area, as we're coining it. We'll have a large Jumbotron video board there where you can relax with an old fashioned or a Point beer, and you can sit there in a nice shaded area, watch the golf there. You can bring your kids. They can do chipping games and a simulator or a putting contest. We'll have free parking available, which I know is a big thing for a lot of people. And tickets are economical and affordable, starting at $25, going all the way up to $50 for gallery passes as well. And that's something you can't find at every place. It's a gorgeous host site at SentryWorld. It's like taking a nature walk. So for those of you that just like to be outside in the fresh air, come join us on the golf course. It's quiet, it's peaceful, but it's also exhilarating and fun while you're there, and the guys play great golf. So that'll be wonderful. We're going to have some wonderful food and beverage offerings as well that are in that Experience Wisconsin area, like cheese curds, brats, things from Cranberry Growers Association, potatoes. So no shortage of what you can do there, and everything is extremely accessible. So everything's within 5 minutes from the golf course.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, and I really like the fact that we're highlighting all of the local products that we can get. I know you're working with Point Brewery and some of our local cheese curd providers to let the world kind of experience a little taste of Stevens Point. But when you're talking about the tickets and making it a family outing, tickets are $25, but the kids are free.
They are. So tickets are for practice rounds Tuesday and Wednesday are $25, and Thursday through Sunday they're $50 each. Okay. Kids under 17 also get in free with a ticketed adult.
So under 17, I wouldn't exactly call those kids, but that would be quite a value. I mean, if you're talking about a weekend of adventure for you and your family, that's pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Even movie tickets they're going to run you that at least.
Exactly. So, for $100, you can get mom and dad and two children under 17 in, free parking, free shuttle ride right on site, and some nice family fun while you're there on the golf course as well.
How would that be to see yourself on national TV?
Yeah.
Look, right? I'm in the crowd. That'd be great. So, Mike, I know there were some improvements that were made to the course last year, and it's my understanding that the course will be closed this year until the tournament. So give us an idea of what went on, what changes were made, and what people can expect when they see the new improved Century Golf Course.
Yeah, so going back to 2014, we reopened after a 2-year renovation process. We renovated all the golf course and SentryWorld, and we reopened in 2014. Since then, we've done some renovation projects, more specifically for this championship last year. We had, when we met with the USGA and talked about hosting a US Senior Open, they made it clear that there were some modifications that we would need to do to the golf course. We had already implemented, and this is post-2014, we put in our sub-air system, which is a moisture control system on the greens. So all the 18 greens, if it rains a lot, as you can imagine, it softens the greens and all that. So we have a system, sub-air, that actually pulls that water, that moisture from the surface of the green and dries it out. That was a large investment, and it's a unique technology that we have that very, very few courses in the world have. We also installed a drip irrigation system. That basically lines all the bunkers with this irrigation, and it keeps the edges of the bunkers nice and moist, and that grass to grow and be lush. Little details, but it makes a huge impact. So we did that. And then last year, we went through this full renovation process, and the last couple of years, I'll say, and narrowed the fairways. So one of the things we have to do is prepare the golf course for the best players in the world. And so, the USGA helped us determine what we needed to do to modify it. That was narrowing the fairways. Our fairways were quite generous.
Okay.
Now,
is that what it was? Because I didn't see it that way. At least my game didn't.
Yeah. Most people saw it your way as well. But to challenge the best players, you've got to make it, you got to be precise off the tee. So we narrowed those. As we narrowed those, we had some bunkers that needed to be moved. We added some bunkers. We added some new tees to lengthen the golf course. All that was done specifically in order to host this championship. Okay. But the cool thing is, Mike, that as we were doing this, we also kept in mind that this championship is 1 week. And after that championship, we want to make sure it's playable for players of all skill levels. So we think we balanced that line very carefully, and we did a nice job. But you mentioned the golf course being closed in the spring. Yeah, we made the decision, and it's a unique decision. The USGA said, wow, we've never seen this. But we are closing the golf course. We closed it a little early last fall at the end of September, and we will keep the course closed until after the championship concludes, which is July 2nd. So July 3rd is a post-championship outing for some of the participants of like corporate hospitality folks that have bought into that. The 4th will reopen the golf course to the public, but the course will be just in immaculate shape. We want to make sure that as people are watching around the world, and players are on the golf course, that it's just flawless, and so we'll be able to do that.
Speaking of flawless, I got to ask about the flower hole. How many flowers are there, and how long does it take to make sure all those are planted and maintained correctly?
It's somewhere between 35,000 flowers, 33 to 35,000 flowers annually, and the process that we go through every year to do it, it's lengthy. It starts in the fall, actually, laying out the coloration and what we want, and the types of flowers, as you can imagine. Some parts of the flower bed are a little moister than others because it flows a little bit in the beds.
It does.
And so some of those flowers do better in the lower areas than the upper areas. We go through a full process of kind of determining the coloration and what we want. Then they go to the growers, Heidi Heath Farms, and they're out of Coloma. They do the flower, they grow them, and then they plant them Memorial Day weekend. But we're going to do things a little bit different this year. So we went through a really deep dive as to the look of the flowers this year for the championship, but then also are going to hold the flowers in the growing in their greenhouses a little bit longer so they can mature. So that, when they're planted, they look much better on camera, because the championship's a little earlier than when they would normally mature. But we just wanted to take that extra step.
Pretty nice.
A lot goes into it, I'll tell you
that. Well, Steve, you heard about Mike's logistics and the flower hole and making sure that's all ready. What does it take, all the background stuff that you and I have been working on now for the better part of a year?
It's a significant undertaking, and to what we said earlier, it really does take a lot of cooperation on several different parties. So luckily the community here, the local university, SPASH, everybody has been phenomenal to work with, and has given us, to the point about parking, we've got ample amounts of parking right around the golf course, which is huge. We've got some road closures going on just during the day, during championship week. We're working with SPASH as well as the city here on securing buses. We've got the conduit work that happened under North Point, which will be utilized for where the TV compound is to run their cables. Underneath the road, people can still drive North Point safely and not have to use cable ramps, which unfortunately we are very accustomed to utilizing on the golf course, but sometimes it's the only option you have. So a lot of logistics there. Then power on site. We get a third-party power company to come in and provide generator power, HVAC in certain areas. We have a tents and scaffolding vendor that will come in and essentially build about 100,000 square feet of tents and scaffold on the golf course. So whether it's a hospitality structure on 18, 17, 16, several different holes, or just your smaller 10 by 10 expo tents that will house some of our local Wisconsin food and beverage staples. Every small or large piece plays into the big puzzle.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, just building the areas for cameras and camera crews, and then all of the different hospitality areas. Mike, what's going to go into that? Because there's going to be people you're going to have to run heavy equipment around on the golf course to build these things. How long is it going to take to build, and what goes into it from the SentryWorld end?
It's part of the reason why we decided to close the golf course as well. I mean, we want to make sure the course is beautiful at championship time, but there's a lot of construction that happens leading up to. In fact, I think March and April we'll start to see some of these contractors come in and start building the city. And we have other projects that have been going on at SentryWorld as well. The front entrance is being redone, and if people drive by there now, you can see that that's being completed. So we're trying to coordinate all of this stuff so that when the city is starting to be erected, everything is opened up and there's no real roadblocks of any nature. Another big part of the championship is the medical coverage. Just imagine you got 70,000 people throughout the week on your golf course and in and around the area. So Aspirus has really stepped up as they had during the girls' junior. So we'll have full medical coverage around the golf course too. And all of that infrastructure needs to be put into place prior to as well, and that's part of building the city. So there's just is a lot of moving parts that will start here once the snow flies. We're trimming some trees on the golf course. The USGA had said, we're going to open up a few lanes that we need to move or trim some trees or eliminate some trees.
Okay.
And that we're doing because now the ground is frozen. Mm-hmm. But we wouldn't want to do that when the ground is thawed, right, because of the big heavy equipment. So there's just a lot of thought put into when's the right time to do this, to do that. And it all needs to come together at the right time in order for this to happen.
Yeah, and it's quite amazing, and we talked about that all of these things going on, it's something that I've never seen before. I have to believe that most of the people in the Stevens Point and central Wisconsin area have never seen before. For me, it'd be worth the ticket price just to go see this transformation of how everything works on a tournament of this caliber. I mean, this is the stuff that you're watching on TV, and it's going to be broadcast, would you say, 126 countries?
Around the world.
That's amazing. And of course, I know that the Schmeeckley Visitor Center is going to be kind of the compound for all of these broadcast networks that are going to be streaming this out and sending it out across the globe. And I know from just watching sports channels that they often do little exposés or little tidbits about the community that they're in, if there's a break or whatever it happens to be. So there's opportunities even there to showcase our community and really let the world know what Stevens Point is all about.
And I'm from Stevens Point, born and raised. And one of the coolest things about this, for me and others who are from this area, is to show off our area to the world. We're proud of it. We talk about the Midwest hospitality. I think we in central Wisconsin take it even to the next level. And I know that everybody coming in to the area is going to see that and feel that warmth of that, just happy for people to come and see us, and we want to take care of them. And that's going to show really clearly to everybody coming to the area, and they're going to want to come back. So this such an opportunity for us together, all of us, to have everybody come and host this championship.
Yeah, that's great. That's my philosophy exactly. The one thing we didn't talk about, Steve, is so the golf enthusiasts and the fans and maybe just ordinary people who want to see something this impressive. But there's a large segment of society out there that wants to show off for their customers. Maybe you have a special client that you're wooing and you want them to see what Stevens Point is all about. You've got ticket packages for that really kind of take that whole experience to 3 or 4 levels up. Tell us about the different packages that people can buy and where they can get information on buying those.
Sure, I'm glad you asked. So this is, we've touched on a lot of really great things here today, but I think a lot of people, when they think of a golf tournament, they think of maybe a charitable outing. And this is what you see on TV every week with the PGA Tour, the Champions Tour, the US Open, the Senior Open. This is the large build, the large structures. And so we have corporate hospitality packages that get you into some of those structures, whether it's a reserve table within a shared structure where you have full food and beverage included. You're on the 14th hole. You have 12 tickets a day. You bring some clients, some friends, or maybe you want to split a table with a few friends, things like that. Or it's a thank you to your employees. Bring them over, maybe new prospects that you want to entertain. So we have corporate tables, we have reserved skyboxes, we have PJ's Champions Club ticket packages in there as well. So all these, different food and beverage options available included, VIP parking right on site as well. And it's a great way for companies to give thanks to either their employees, their prospects, drum up new business, leverage existing business. So that's some of the things that we really want to stress on people, is that it's not just for the average golf fan. It's, it may be a marketing tool for them as well, and a networking event.
Where would someone get information about tickets, ticket packages, and attending the event?
Yep. So they can go to USSeniorOpen.com, and there's a ticketing page right there as well. Or they can go visit SentryWorld.com, and then on the top left-hand corner, there's a little drop-down menu that says Golf. Underneath that menu, you'll see a US Senior Open tab there, and then that will take you directly to our informational page with corporate hospitality tab there, as well as a ticketing tab.
Nice. Nice. And Mike, with SentryWorld, I imagine there's some people who maybe don't live in the area and haven't been to places like PJ's or the Inn. How can they find information about that? If they want to come get a little taste of what might be happening in June, how can they get information there?
Yeah, SentryWorld.com is the best place. Certainly, that highlights the Inn, the new Inn that we just opened about a year ago, which we're very proud of. It's a nice hotel that people who are coming really enjoy themselves. Of course, PJ's within SentryWorld. We have Muse restaurant, which is in the main headquarters. But all of that is highlighted on SentryWorld.com. And of course, everybody is welcome. And that's the cool thing about SentryWorld, is that it's open to the public. Everybody is welcome to swing by, play in the golf simulator in the field house or tennis. Nice. And there's a lot of things to do there, and everybody's welcome.
Perfect. One last thing before we get going. Are you going to have the big giant checks?
You know what? I believe we will have a big check, and they have to be deposited at the big check bank.
All right, Steve, Mike, thank you very much. We're really looking forward to it and can't wait for the tournament. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
And until next time, I'm Mayor Mike, and we've been Talking Point.